Right, we're going to stick with our lead story. That's the day of bloodshed in Egypt after security forces invaded camps to clear out pro-Morsi supporters. The casualty figure in the aftermath keeps on changing, depending on who's counting, and now a state of emergency has been declared. Now, to further discuss the crisis in Egypt and the fallout of today's developments, I'm now being joined on the news at 10 by an associate professor in the Department of History and International Relations, Redeemers University, Dr. Femi Adegbolu. Thank you so much for joining us on the news at 10.
Always my pleasure. Thank you.
Now, we have that casualty figure rising steadily, depending on which side you're on. The Muslim Brotherhood saying it's 2,000, others saying 150. But no matter how you look at it, blood was shed today, and it was a lot. So what does this do to Egypt's fledgling democracy?
It portends a serious danger, really, because of the position of Egypt, which has been a rallying point for all Arab world, and because it's a center of diplomacy, whether you like it or not, especially to the Arab world. And the fact that the people freely elected their leader and somebody emerged, and one would have expected to whatever the lapses and the shortcomings of Morsi, to allow him to finish his tenure. In my last interview here, I did say that it was purely a coup d'etat, which I believe the people will not take lightly. Will not take lightly, because people are already feeling cheated. Don't forget, the pro-Morsi are feeling cheated, that no matter what, this is the first time they're having a shot at government, and somebody cutting their own portion, their own ration short.
Looking at the promises that the military, had made when they took over at a time where the streets had, two sets of protesters, the anti and the pro, and they had said they were coming in to restore order, there was anarchy, and here they are, to try to bring peace. That hasn't happened. Why?
We don't expect military to be able to bring peace to people who are hurt and who are emotionally injured. You see, what is happening now, especially now that there is a religious connotation to it, is going to be very difficult indeed to be able to bring peace. Because in the first place, the same military that has stolen their mandate, they see their mandate as being stolen. The only panacea, the only thing that can restore peace now, absolute peace, is to restore the mandate, which some of us believe may not be outright possible. Yeah. But then there should be a kind of modus vivendi by which the whole peace deal will be struck between the aggrieved and those who are in government right now.
So where is the average Egyptian right now? Looking at what's happening in the camps and on the streets, one would say it's between the Muslim Brotherhood and the army. But if you look at the way Egypt is, or the groups are constructed, there are different splinters and pockets of opposition, different people wanting different things. Does everybody in Egypt, or in terms of the average Egyptian now, does everybody want Morsi back?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. So in every situation like this, you have a group that does not want a particular leader, and also you have a group that wants that leader by all means. Egypt right now is divided into two. And apart from that, those who are pro-Morsi are not the only people you see on the street. There are some who are from the neighboring countries, for instance. There are some who are sympathizers with Morsi. There are some who are sympathizers with what Morsi stood for, that is the Muslim Brotherhood and all that. My fear essentially is that if this thing is not well managed, if it's not diplomatically handled well, Egypt may soon be or play host to some dangerous terrorists, and who are looking for such opportunity like this to just seize. Remember, don't forget that we are talking about Muslim Brotherhood, and those who, some of the terrorists, for instance, will lay claim to, having the same ideology and all that. So it will be a breeding ground, if not well managed, for terrorists, and that would be very dangerous indeed.
Looking at the timeline of the protests up to today, initially the people ignored the order banning street protests. Then they said there's a curfew. They ignored that. They said, okay, don't group together. There's a sitting order. Don't sit. They did. And then we saw the crackdown today. Do you think the state of emergency is going to make a difference to people who so far it's like a ping pong sort of thing. The government say what they like and the people do what they like.
Actually, some of us are not surprised, looking at the pedigree of the people, looking at where they are coming from. When you talk about, you see, there are some of them you can't terrify with death. You cannot threaten them with death, for instance, because people who believe in ideology, who are ready to die for what they stand for instance, you can't threaten them with death. And so that's the problem. That's why they are quite different from the part of the world where you threaten people, they go back to their houses and never show up on the street again. But these people are ready to defy any government order. The fact is that some of them who are protesting now do not even recognize the legitimacy of the government in power.
Exactly.
So it is their Morsi that is incarcerated now that they still see as their president.
So how can they
take no order from? They don't want to take order from any government that is there now.
How can peace be restored in that
peace
case?
to be restored now two ways. It's either you reinstate Morsi outright and make him part of the new government that will be ushered in. That is by allowing him to finish his tenure. That's one way. Okay. Another way is to release Morsi, which is very, very important. He must be released. He cannot be behind bar and you enunciate any peace deal. It may not work. Release Morsi. Let his men be part and parcel of the new arrangement that will usher a new democratically elected structure in place. Right. That is the only thing that can restore peace in Egypt now.
Thank you so much for your insight with us here on the News at 10. I've been speaking with an associate professor in the Department of History and International Relations, Redeemers University. That's Dr. Femi Adegbulu. We've been examining the crisis in Egypt and the way forward for their fledgling democracy. We're going to take a break from stories from Egypt and come back home here. And the United States says it will support Nigeria to tackle all the challenges facing the country in the areas of security, governance, education and agriculture. The United States Undersecretary for Politics, Wendy Sherman, made this announcement while speaking to State House correspondents after her meeting with President Goodluck Jonathan in the presidential villa. Ms. Sherman, who is leading the delegation to the Bi-National Commission between her country and Nigeria, described the initiative as a valuable tool for the two countries to strengthen their relationship.
I was just very honored to have a meeting with your president. President Goodluck Jonathan was very gracious to give me some of his time. We had a comprehensive discussion of all of the issues in front of the Bi-National Commission. That ranges from security to governance, to education, to agriculture, to civilian security, to all of the things that are important to a country moving ahead. Nigeria is a leader in the region and a leader in the world. I was also able to deliver to him a letter from the President of the United States, and he was gracious enough to accept it, and we look forward to working forward on the basis of that letter. And I see Nigeria's ambassador to the United States came here to join with us in these meetings, and he is a good partner with us back in Washington, D.C.
Well, staying with attempts to curb the insurgency, the Nigerian army says it's killed 2 top commanders of the Boko Haram sect during a 4-hour gun battle in Adamawa State, also in Nigeria's northeast region. The men, who had bounties of 10 million naira on their heads, are said to have died in a gun battle that erupted after they took army officers to show them their hideout in Mubi town. There's been no independent confirmation of the circumstances surrounding the men's death, and the Boko Haram sect has not commented publicly on the alleged loss of its commanders. Well, staying with the issue of insurgency, and the military is insisting that it's made major inroads in the fight against terrorism in the country. In an interview with our correspondent Gbenga Ashiru, the Director of Defense Information, while reacting to the recent attack in Borno State, explained that the pocket of violence is an offshoot typical of an after-insurgency.
The level of consciousness along our borders, there's more effective patrols now to ensure that infiltration of arms, at least into our territory, is no more as easy as it used to be. And so, generally, that's one other achievement of the mission. And like we said, all the security agencies in the country are actively conscious of the need for their input to succeed in this mission.
So how would you react to the recent killing of about 30 people by gunmen in Borno State in the weekend, and just yesterday the reported killing of 60 casualties by gunmen in an attack in Borno State?
The concern is for us to ensure that similar things don't happen anymore, and adjustments where there is necessity for it are ongoing, not just to track the perpetrators, but to ensure that they don't have the ability to perpetrate similar things elsewhere. And I can assure you that that is what the concerns in the High Command translates to ensure that similar occurrences are prevented.